The state of Canada right now is feeling a little bizarre. No, not the 51st state, just the overall kind of political spectrum in Canada is feeling very bizarre. Ukraine is back at the center of everyone's attention, and not for any good reasons. Canada, as of today, Mark Carney has given, like not pledged, but he literally says, it starts effective immediately. The flow of money and the flow of resources has already begun. We are giving Ukraine $2 billion more in equipment, beans, guns, ammo, tanks, the whole shebang. But the interesting part was talking about actual troops on the ground, boots on the ground. And that's something that Canada is not historically been really a part of. Other than peacekeeping missions, Canada has this reputation of being peacekeepers. We'll provide medics, we'll even train other countries as soldiers, but not really get into the war unless it's like a world war, unless like shit really hits the fan. But Canada's crossing that line right now, and I don't like it. I'm sorry if you're watching this and you stand unequivocally with Ukraine, Slava Ukraini, but I don't. And the reasons are as follows. Canada is suffering financially. Canada is suffering through opioid crisis and drug addictions and homelessness and housing crisis. And we have crime rampant, and we have a lot of money that needs to be poured into our infrastructure. And if now looking at the books, we're finding out that, hey, we're spending all this money on other people's problems. I have an issue with that, even if it is for a good cause, even if it is helping people in Gaza that need food and like they're going to die without our food. I'm sorry, but there's other countries out there that could probably do that while we start to fix ourselves, because we have hundreds of thousands of homeless people, if not millions of homeless people, literally just plaguing our country. And it seems like we're kind of turning into a zombie apocalypse in this country. And it's freaking me out, man. As a father of two kids, my priority is making sure that my kids are safe. My loyalty goes to my kids, not to, saving Ukraine or Gaza. So when I find out that more and more of our money is going towards other countries instead of bettering life for you and I here and my kids and your kids and grandchildren and great grandchildren, I have a really big problem with that. But the problem doesn't start or even end with the conservatives. The conservatives are also a bit of a problem in this. And we're going to get into that very soon, because unanimously our Canadian politicians, Slava Ukraini. And I have a problem with that. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage you all to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet already. In the last video, I said that I was going to church or either at church by the time the video was posted. And now I'm recording this video after coming back from church. And it was a very similar experience to how it was last week. So for those that don't really know, I haven't gone to church in like 20 some years, like probably 19 or 20 years. I'm 31 years old. And last weekend was the first time that I went to church in that 20 year period. And today was the second time that I've been. And the music gets me. I don't know what it is. I have no like attachment to the words of the music. And I know people were very, very welcoming and very nice in the last video that I posted, talking about my experience of church. It's a Holy Spirit moving through me. And I don't want to say I deny it, but I'm certainly fighting it. I don't know if that's good or bad, if that's part of the process, or if I'm just stubborn, or all of the above. But I'm not ready to like emotionally give myself to that process yet, whatever that may be. But I'm going through the motion because it's speaking to me, if that makes sense. I don't know. I don't want to get all weird about it, but church was good, and I look forward to going next Sunday. So this video is pretty much centered around how Canada is in a very weird state right now, where we're giving money to other countries fighting their wars, and we're not really protecting ourselves. And I have a really big problem with that, because I think that everyone should have the ability to protect themselves. Even castle doctrine in Canada is like non-existent, and that's been a whole other conversation from previous videos, and it'll probably come up again in the near future sometime this week. But especially online, we don't really talk about how to protect ourselves, and I actually have the perfect way to protect yourself online, and they also so happen to be today's sponsor. This video is brought to you by today's sponsor, Private Internet Access. If you're fed up with government censorship and the government tracking and then selling your data, well, boy, oh boy, do I have a fix for you. Private Internet Access, my go-to VPN, is the best way to cloak yourself so that you can browse the internet anonymously. Also unlocks a whole bunch of censored news here in Canada, which is the Liberals' quota. In addition to that, when you have Hulu, Netflix, Disney Plus, it allows you to access content that is restricted by this country. So you can use American Netflix, French Netflix, Italian Netflix, whatever it is that you want. There are so many benefits to Private Internet Access, but my favorite is the fact that it works on so many different devices. One subscription protects unlimited amount of devices at the same time. You can also change your IP address to more than 91 countries around the world. If you use my link down below in the description or the pinned comment below, you'll get 83% off Private Internet Access today. Alternatively, you could go to piavpn.com/sunshine to get the exact same discount. Thank you, Private Internet Access, for sponsoring today's video. Canadians, especially hopefully liberal Canadians, are getting ready to go to war, according to Mark Carney. I think that personally, if you are Slava Ukraini, you should be the one to go and Slava for Ukraine. Let's have a look at what is going on with this entire situation. So Zelensky took to X and said this about meeting with Mark Carney. A very meaningful meeting with Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney. I am grateful for this visit, that this visit is taking place today on such an important day for Ukrainians, Independence Day. This is highly symbolic as Canada was among the first to recognize the restoration of Ukraine's independence to recognize our sovereign state. Today, important documents are clear agreements that have been signed, an action plan for the implementation of the agreement on security cooperation between our countries, an agreement on mutual administrative assistance in customs matters signed at the ministerial level, and the letter of intent on drone production. We also discussed diplomacy. Okay, so first of all, why is Canada signing anything to do with intent on drone production? I do not know of Canada having, possessing, or manufacturing drones. And if we do manufacture drones, why don't we have them for ourselves? Why are we putting out stuff for other countries and not keeping stuff for ourselves? This is weird. Unless I'm missing something, which I very well could be, but this is very weird. We also discussed diplomacy, work within the coalition of the willing sanctions efforts, energy cooperation, Canada's potential assistance in Ukraine's reconstruction and rehabilitation programs for our as well as our defense cooperation. So we're helping Ukrainian veterans instead of helping our own veterans. We're not prioritizing per se, but we're putting a lot of money towards Ukrainian veterans. I'm grateful for Canada's readiness to join the PURL program, which allows for increased support for Ukraine through U.S. weapons procurement. This means an additional $500 million, a very important contribution. Right now, drones are the number one priority in defense and tactical operations as they help save the lives on the battlefield. The funds allocated by Canada will be directed specifically towards drone production. We discussed this and agreements have been reached. I am grateful for Mark Carney and Canada for all of the support that is absolutely sincere. Thank you. And on social media, he got an overwhelming amount of support, 11,000 likes and only just under 500 comments. But when you read the comments, it's a lot of people saying, go away, F off, we don't support Ukraine, all the things that, most of the things that I would align a lot of my beliefs with. So at the beginning of the video, I talked about how it's not just the liberals that are the problem. It's also, unfortunately, the conservatives. And this is something that I turned a blind eye to in 2022, 2023, 2024, until the election in 2025. And I can't turn a blind eye to it now. This isn't necessarily a make or break for some people's support for political parties, but it's a massive issue that does need to have some sort of spotlight on. Here's what Pierre Poilievre said in 2023, I believe, about Ukraine.
And it will be conservatives who will continue to stand with the Ukrainian people now against the illegal, unjustifiable, and ego-driven bloodshed initiated by Vladimir Putin. We will stand up every day and every way in favor of the export of 83,000 CRV-7 missiles that the Ukrainian government has asked for. We also call on the government to keep its promise that thus far has been broken to deliver air defense systems, $400 million of which were announced on January 10th, 2023. Putin has said he wants our Arctic. We know that once he defeats one country that he invades, he will move on to the next. His appetite for expansionism is insatiable. We stand with you now and always. Slava Ukraini.
And I have a problem with that because the Conservative Party stands unequivocally with Ukraine. And I get standing with the Ukrainian people. There's a lot of Ukrainian Canadians. I get that. But again, like, it's not our war. And if our politicians are kind of bullied into this type of rhetoric, maybe they can be bullied out of this rhetoric. Not that that's my goal, but come on, conservatives, stop supporting this. Like, if Canada didn't have a strong Ukrainian population, right? If there weren't millions, because I think there's like 1 or 2 million Ukrainian Canadians living in Canada or something along the lines. It's like a pretty big number. But if that wasn't a thing, if there were like 5 Ukrainian Canadians living in Canada, would Canada feel this type of political pressure? Would the Conservative Party feel this type of political pressure to stand unequivocally with Ukraine? Slava Ukraini. We got to send more. We got to send more. Or is this specifically a way to try and poach a really large voter base in Canada, right? Not a majority by any means, but a large. Like, if there's 1 million Ukrainian Canadians, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of votes, man. That can bring your vote count from 7 million to 7.8 or 8 million, right? Like, that's a lot of freaking people. So I want to pass the question off to you, because most of the audience is a conservative voter base. How do you feel about this? Because this is a really divisive issue. Do you like the fact that the Conservative Party still to this day stands unequivocally with Ukraine and actually criticizes the Liberal government for not sending enough? Or do you not like that? And do you feel a little bit strongly about that? Let me know where you guys stand down below. And then we got to take a look at the boots on the ground comments that Mark Carney said, because we could actually be in a position where Canada is involved in this war and Canadians are fighting against Russians, which is insane to think about. But Mark Carney is actually making it a bit of a reality. So let's have a look.
It's starting now, and the funds are flowing. So it's this is immediate. We know the immediate needs, and we, as a partner of Ukraine, are working directly, for example, in joint production, which you just referenced, but then more broadly buying in drones from other sources, and also following the Danish model, the pre-financing model for production here in Ukraine. With respect to security guarantees, I think we all recognize that the core of the security guarantee, the front line, the foundation, is robust Ukrainian armed forces. And it's crucial in those regards that the military equipment today and tomorrow is here, the industrial capacity is here. It's crucial that the training capacity is there as well. And I'd note that since Russia's illegal seizure of Crimea, Operation Unifier, which Canada put in place, has trained over 45,000 Ukrainian troops. This will become even more important going forward. That's the front line, but that's should be buttressed by the coalition of the willing, potentially the United States, in matters of intelligence and other support. We are working through with our allies in Coalition of the Willing and with Ukraine, the modalities of those security guarantees. on the land, in the air, and the sea, and I would not exclude the presence of troops. Yeah. We need a cessation of hostilities. We need a ceasefire. We can call it a
So there it was. I would not exclude the presence of troops. Carney is not ruling out the Canadian troops on the ground in Ukraine in the security guarantee process to do what? To play Scrabble, to play cribbage? No, of course not. It's to fight Russians. This is wild. I don't agree with this at all. This is never left up to a vote. If it was, unfortunately, most of our politicians would be voting in favor of this. But a lot of Canadians are very much against this. And who's going? Which one of you watching down below in the comments, let me know, are going to willingly sign up for this? I don't want this. I don't want my kids ever being a part of this. I'm like totally against this, man. We live in a good part of the world where we're not in war constantly domestically here. That's phenomenal. We should keep it that way. I do not understand why we keep poking, it sounds funny, poking the bear, no pun intended, but why we keep getting ourselves in these situations. I don't like this at all.
ceasefire, a truce, an armistice that's necessary to stop the killing. But the conditions around that, there will be military force in Ukraine, Ukrainian military force. There'll be no exclusion of pathways for Ukraine to the European Union or to NATO for that matter, pathways towards. And there will be security guarantees. There will be security guarantees in any durable ceasefire. That's the lesson of Minsk. That's the lesson of 2014. That's the lesson of history, is that we need not to trust and verify, but deter and fortify. And the fortification, the deterrence, is anchored in those security guarantees. Again, as I said, starting with the Ukrainian army and reinforcing that, but then being buttressed by the coalition of the willing. And again, I welcome, without specifying, welcome the openness of President Trump to some form of U.S. participation in that. Now, all of this in real time, as you ask your question, is under discussion about the specificities and the modalities. But it's not the choice of Russia how the future sovereignty, independence, liberty of Ukraine is guaranteed. It's the choice of Ukraine and the decisions of the partners.
Yeah, we've completely lost our identity that was once a recognized with much respect from around the world, of Canada being known as peacekeepers. And now we're being known as, kind of a communist dictatorship. We're being known as instigators. We're deviating from the path of what was once a phenomenal path to be on. And I don't even recognize this path anymore. I don't consent to this. I don't like this at all. This is not part of a democratic process for us to be spending this amount of money on things that we could otherwise be fixing our homelessness and our drug addiction. You would think that as public servants, the job would be to serve us, the public. But no, it's not. It's to serve the world and to have some of these weird elitist kind of triangles of flows of money, and it's all at our expense. Like, our lives are not getting better by trying to send our military and money and our weaponry to other countries. In fact, I would argue that our lives are significantly getting worse, because that money, in hindsight, the $20 billion that we've already sent Ukraine and that we keep funding, could have gone to solve a whole lot of things here in this country. And I just want to pass the question off to you as we kind of move away from that. How do you feel about this? Does this piss you off? Am I crazy for this pissing me off? Because it really does. And it makes me kind of sad. And I don't want to say I give up hope, but this is why, part of the reason why I'm kind of open to, becoming the 51st state. not as a whole country, but every state being kind of picked apart and being the 51st, the 52nd, the 53rd, and 54th, so on and so on state, because our democratic process is just gone out the window, and I don't recognize Canada anymore. That's where I stand. But again, I could be way off base. I'd love to know where you guys stand on this. And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, it'd be super awesome for you guys to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you all in another video. Bye for now.